It is. Now it's official. Hi, everybody. I'm Juliana Fagatini. I'm from the OISF team, and today I am here with Mr. Peter Manev, also from OISF and from Stamus Networks. I want to say that if you have any questions, please use our Q&A session, the feature, because then it's easier for us to follow up on things. If you use the chat, those may get lost, so please use the Q&A session. I forgot to get my intro slides, so I'll do that a bit in a second. I'm sorry. I got distracted because we were talking about PCAPs, and this is distracting. All right. Let me share my screen real quick. Did I welcome everybody properly?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Awesome. So let's move this around because sorry, I don't know how to do computers. I don't know what I'm doing here. But be the host. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to our Suricata webinar of April. We are trying to have at least one per month. Today with me, I have Mr. Peter Manev, who will speak a bit more about himself in a bit. Before we get started, I know you all want to hear about PCAPs. I just want to say a few words about OISF, which stands for the Open Information Security Foundation. And we are a US-based nonprofit organized to build community and to support open source security technologies like Suricata. Funding for Suricata and OISF comes from donations from world-class security organizations committed to our mission. If you want to know more about our consortium members or become one, please check our page. And there you'll see who already supports us and what are the benefits of doing so. This is all for now. That was very quick. If I manage to leave, I'll just stop sharing. Without further ado, I will give the floor to Mr. Peter Manev, because I know that everyone wants to hear about PCAPs and not me talking.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much, Jules, and thank you very much, folks. So first of all, Jules, thank you for the intro. A bit of comms checks. You hear me okay, right? I'm loud and clear and all that stuff. All right, cool.
Oh, good.
Let me
Yes.
share my screen. Thank you. All right. So let's see now. How about now? Do you folks
Yes, it's
see
good.
my screen? All right, excellent. So purpose of this webinar is actually simple and easy. I thought I'll share some from the experience. Where to find free and public malware pickups for Suricata. And by the way, it could just not be only for Suricata, but it could be for various of reasons. And I'm going to touch on these as we move along. First of all, Peter Mario, this is my sci-fi version. I did not come up with that picture. That was some AI generated it. But basically, I am very lucky and happy to be part of the Suricata team and the Suricata community in general. I've been with the community and team for about 15, 16 years, part of the exec team, Suricata project evangelist, and been doing a lot of blogs, videos, trainings for Suricata, participating a lot in QA, and trainings, and doing a lot of work there as well. Apart from that, I really love open source, no need to say that, and threat hunting. I'm also one of the maintainers of SELCS and chief strategist Stamus Networks, which also produces a lot of open source material in and around Suricata. Now, a note of caution. So everything that I'm going to show actually in this webinar today in relation to PCAPs, please do have in mind that the majority of those PCAPs actually contain malware, and some of that malware would be actually still active. So note of caution, be very careful what and how, where you click, and if you extract files or URLs or any artifacts, so please be careful. Now, general agenda. So first and foremost, big thank you to all the folks organizations that actually provide PCAPs for free, because those are just network traces that we can actually analyze or use for different purposes, right? So massive thank you to all the providers that are actually giving those in. So what are we gonna do? So I have in mind a few things. So before actually indulging in, this is what I'm going to share and show is partly out of experience, and it's not meant to be a super exhaustive list of any and all pickups and data sets that you can find out there. Pardon me. So, but it's supposed to be some of the more interesting ones, and there is a lot more. So, we will entirely concentrate on free and public pickups. Whether you need to sign up or not, but or just download, but they're definitely public and free. So what does this mean? Actually, in my line of work, I often enough look at malware and PCAPs, and often enough when you want to give an example, or when you want to do a QA, or even if you want to do a training session, you often enough start for a question like, well, is there an artifact, in our case PCAP, that I can actually share with folks, that is okay to share, that's public, that's not private? And often enough that has some limitations, but and that's why I wanted to actually do this webinar and showcase a few things that hopefully you'll find interesting. So we also, as we were reviewing the different repos or places where you can get and download them, we're going to talk a little bit about like pros and cons, because there's pros and cons with everything, what's good for what cases and similar, and how to use those repos or pickup places specifically for Suricata, where to find them and things like that, hands-on. So enough here with the talk, and let's go and do some hands-on. So do you folks see my screen, my browser? I am actually,
Yep.
Juice, if you can give me com checks, I'm actually at 3
Yeah,
ash.
yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So I just want to make sure we're working okay. Thank you very much. So in no specific order, I'm going to go through a few cases, and then at the end of the webinar, there's also a slide with the list with all the links that I'm going to be that I was walking through here. And I know these are going to be published later in public and made public via the uploading of the webinar on the YouTube channel. So no problem there. So you don't need to memorize any URLs. Now, first, couple of interesting ones. Again, no particular order, just places where you can grab some stuff. First and foremost, there is the so-called group of sandboxes, right? You have public sandboxes, and there's a few of them out there. In this case, I've zoomed in on 3 specific ones, and I'll elaborate on that in a second. So the sandboxes is actually, again, all of these are free. You can sign up for free. You don't need to pay anything. And by signing up, you actually, once approved, you get access to all the artifacts and the PCAPs. And they have different levels of, and maybe different levels of subscription, but the free, I'm only talking about free and public PCAPs, and these examples are free and public. So first of all, the sandboxes, what is it? Basically, in this case, what I'm showing here is actually some detonated artifacts. So let's say some executable, some document, whatever that may be, some script, some phishing link visited, and so on and so forth. These public sandboxes, they actually have some sort of a detonated malware or suspected malware. And based on that, there's a lot of analysis done on what does this malware do on the endpoint. And as long as the malware is actually being detonated and active, all that network communication is being saved in the form of PCAP. The first one, again, no particular order. The first one that's here on my screen is actually triage. And again, it's very easy to navigate if you go into let's say, reports, you can actually see and have different view of the reports, including what's running now. You can do a search actually, and that's pretty interesting because you can actually search by family. You can actually specify what exactly you want to search, and specifically all public samples or not. And so, for example, if you actually want to look at, let's say, Cobalt Strike, you can come in and they will be different by time, including, like, for example, from today, there will be a different listing. And you can also, of course, extend your search. But in general, when you click on a specific case, you will see something like that where you can actually download the artifact, but also, depending on what OS was detonated, when you actually click on the type of OS that was detonated, in this case here is Windows 11, 10, and similar, you can see a link here that says download PCAP and download PCAP NG. So that's the first part. So basically, when this specific case or artifact or malware was detonated, it has, in this case, it has a score 10 out of 10, meaning malicious. So you can go through the report and actually see what it does on the endpoint and then see what it does on the network. But again, it's a pretty substantial and long report of what and how it's doing, and all those things. All these sandboxes actually have a lot of information, but for us, one of the most important part here is that you can click in download PCAP, and you are walking away with that PCAP, and you can actually have a trace of what this, for example, malware is doing and how. Now, as with anything, it has pros and everything has pros and cons. In this case, this malware is usually detonated for some specific amount of time. It could be 2, 3, 1, 5, 10 minutes or 20, whatever it is, but it's not infinite. It's not like a 2-3 day or whatever capture, but it's good enough if you want to go in and check things. Here's an example I found, and actually I think I may have used it in one of the trainings or one of the talks. So, for example, in this case, malware was doing a lot of DGA communications, like domains. So if you're wondering what this looks like and how it looks like on the network, especially in terms of DNS traffic, and if you're trying to QA specific Suricata feature or Suricata rule or anything like that, there's interesting cases to search. And again, you can get the PCAP, run it through Suricata, and see what data is generated, how it generates it, if it alerts, if it doesn't alert, all the DNS records, the flow records, and similar things. Again, pretty simple way of doing it. Now, the next sandbox that is out there is Joe Sandbox. And by the way, when you actually get on it, they land on the URL. They have, you can choose your architecture. What do you want to look at? Linux, Mac, or Android devices. Again, it's a free sign up, and you get to the PCAP with a free sign up here. And you could, again, the search could be quite extensive and all that, but I wanted to point on an interesting case here. I think I was reviewing this specific one. I don't know how I landed on here. I was looking at something. I don't remember even when, what anymore. I think it was a Remco strat now that I'm looking at here. And again, this is another sandbox that is available for sign up, and you can sign up there and you can see what exactly the malware is doing and how it's doing it. And in this case, you can see a bunch of funny stuff with like encoding with PowerShell and kind of living off the land technique using what's available on the machine. And they have, again, an extensive setup of what is going on the machine, detection methods and things like that. One of the interesting stuff that is out there is this. So they actually show what Suricata signatures trigger if they trigger on this malware. Now, let's not forget, these are just a Suricata signature. So Suricata will still generate any and all relevant protocol, flow data, or anomaly events and similar things. But if you're ever wondering, what are the signatures that Suricata would fire on this malware, and you can actually want it and have a look at it, you have actually a subset here of exactly that. In this case is reverse loader base 64. That's from Emerging Threats Proofpoint, of course. So it's easy to actually have a quick look, see what this does what does Suricata detect with the proof point emerging threat rules, and to review it further, because they're also very interesting. Again, a wealth of information in here. But the stuff that we are looking for is actually here. It is basically download PCAP, filtered or full. So you can actually basically go in, search that, see what signatures are alerting, see what type of malware, so look for that specific type of malware, see what, for example, signatures are alerting. If you're ever wondering between true positive, false positive, and all sorts of things, it's very easy to actually conclude that. And you can just simply download the PCAP from here and run it. Again, public and free. Another sandbox that is actually also very good is AnyRun. And here on the public submissions, again, any of this information is public and free. You just need to sign up, and to sign up, it costs nothing. But I often use AnyRun because it's actually also, besides good information, also provides a unique feature that is kind of very cool to use with Suricata. So in other words, let me show you what I mean. So you can actually go in and search by a specific, you can just type in APT, for example, and that will give you, each security vendor gets to name the nomenclature of the APT or the group, and similar things in the number TA. I think it's a proof point designation, and APT, you have the different numbers and all that. They also MITRE designations and similar. But if you want to see what exactly and how a part or a tool of an ATP behaves, you can actually have a look. So, for example, this one is from today, and when you actually click on it, it gives you pretty much here a pane glass view of what the malware is doing, alongside with the processes. But the interesting part here is that we have the threats, and those are here in this button here, and those are usually Suricata, Suricata signatures. They could be also a proof point or AnyRun signatures, or whatever signatures they were added in there. But you have all those here, and of course, alongside with any other data. But there's also a button here called PCAP. So actually, even if you're looking for a specific APT, for a specific, these tags here, phishing, tycoon, and similar, if you're looking for a specific set, there's public data that you can go and download and see, and investigate further, or use it for training, or for QA, or for knowledge, or to improve your detection mechanisms and all those things. So it's quite useful. But as I mentioned, one of the features that is very cool here that I use is, so for example, if, let's say, you're using Suricata and you're using a publicly available rule set, either free or commercial, let's say the one like emerging threats or proof point, you can actually, in the filter, you see here, says, first of all, you can actually select, if you want to buy MITRE attack or technique ID, geolocation, all those similar things. But you can also paste in the signature ID number from a rule set, and then you can just plainly click search. And that will actually give you all the results. And as you can see, some of them are for that signature that participates in that malware. And you can see these are kind of way too obvious and verbose samples. But again, you have the signatures here that are alerting. So if you're looking for a specific, let's say, signature to determine true or false positive, or to actually see what the specific malware is doing and how a specific signature grabs that, detects that malware, the AnyRun makes it very easy to actually just search by signature. So another one, again, just pick up, download, and you're set to go. Now, we also have NatResec. Even if you Google PCAPs, you'll find a lot of things. But here are some of the main ones. NatResec actually has a lot of list and publicly available PCAPs, including SCADA, different references, and there's a lot of information here, and they've been around for a while. So a good a good categorized breakdown of a lot of available PCAPs. If you're ever wanting to actually dive into something more specific, you can actually do it like that, do it here. So that's another link that I also may use quite often. Of course, we cannot not mention Wireshark because I've also used it a lot, and besides the tool is great, Wireshark also provides sample captures. And in these sample captures, they have different breakdowns. So one of the differences between the sandboxing PCAPs that I showed, like for example, Triage, AnyRun, Joe Sandbox, and these PCAPs here, like in Nitrisec and Wireshark and the others that I'm about to follow and show here is actually in the sandboxes is mostly north-south traffic, right? So you don't have that much of a lateral in there. Traditionally, it's mostly north-south, and that's about it. So if you're interested more into, let's say, other protocols like more internal, like SMB, Kerberos, and all those sorts of things, most likely they would not, the sandboxes pickup traffic would not yield what you expect. But for that, you have other repositories. Often enough, and I mentioned because I personally also used a lot of the Wireshark pickup captures here for QA purposes of Suricata, SMB, and others, not to mention, but there is a good breakdown and different protocols available in here. What does it do? How does it do? And all those sorts of things. So that's always a good repo, depending on what you want to do and how you want to do things, what you need actually. Is it for training? Is it for detection? Are you looking to improve something? QA false positive, true positive, and similar. Now, needless to say, as I mentioned earlier, if you go and do GitHub SCADA PCAP, a lot of things will come up. So GitHub is a big repository of data in general, not only code. And a good few things are available there. So, for example, I found a few, not just now, but like from before, especially SCADA protocols. Those are difficult to come by. There's not that many information, but GitHub has a good few PCAPs of SCADA industrial protocols in there. Maybe not everything 100%, but there is quite an info in there, and they're actually public and free, so we cannot argue with that. So you have a bunch of these in a few GitHub repos, as one is ICS PCAP. There is another one, awesome cybersecurity data sets, and they could even be broken down. Again, this is just if you Google inside GitHub, basically search inside GitHub for SCADA PCAPs, and they all come up with different data sets. No, not all of these repos actually contain 100% up-to-date information, like exactly it was updated yesterday. But it's again, it's public and it's free, and there is a lot of information in there that you can find, especially in terms of PCAP. Now, mentioning a little bit more around, let's say, lateral. As I mentioned before, SMB, Kerberos, things like that. So SMB has been there for a while, and it's difficult for some protocols. It's difficult to come up with public data. We were discussing with Jules even earlier, like it was PostgreSQL and similar things. So those actually have to have the infrastructure spin it up, and to basically they're not so easy to get the pickup. You have to have some sort of an infra. For these cases, one of the data sets that's available is from Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity. Some data sets, so there's data sets in terms of data and logs and pickups here. Some data sets are from a few years before. However, some are actually quite useful because they actually contain, let's say, malware spreading inside the network for 3, 4, 5 days, and that has also a lot of internal protocols and all that stuff. So that's a bigger volume as well, gigabytes and terabytes and similar things. So Depending on what you want to do, if you have a training model or how you want to train things or how you want to detect things or what you want to get out of that data set, it may be outdated, but depends on the purpose. So for example, SMB is SMB and it's been like that for a good few years, in decades. And so you can actually grab it and have a look and deep dive in similar things. So that's a good site. A lot of information in here. They're all broken down. So University of New Brunswick, and they have a lot of data sets for sure. And there's a good few there. We cannot not mention malware traffic analysis.net. And actually, I think Brad Duncan has been a guest on our podcast as well. Again, a big thank you for sharing also those PCAPs. So basically, there is, you can see from 2013, that's like 12 years of free and public PCAPs. A big thank you, by the way. It's difficult to keep something like that for 12 years, being free and public. Talking out of experience here as well. It takes effort and dedication. So you have the blogs, the GitHub repository, but like actually, if you go into any specific year, you'll see the cases they actually broken down, and you can go in and have a look what this is. And one of these artifacts here will be actually the PCAP itself. And those are also very good, especially including for training and for queuing, but those also actually include Active Directory or SMB information and things like that. So they're also interesting way to see how malware actually spreads around. And this is all accompanied with, of course, a lot of other data about the artifacts, about the malware, and some of the main things that this malware does and how it does them. Another site is Active Countermeasures. They have, if you go to the search menu, if you search for malware of the day, there is basically a lot of blogs, and the way I found them was actually because in one of the trainings that I was doing, I was looking for a beaconing PCAPs, like long time, not just 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 minute. I was looking something that, again, looking for free and public because I cannot share private PCAPs. So, and when you're doing a public training, for example, or if you want to put a QA feature, or if you want to prove a true or false positive, if you want to make the case, you have to have, public data. So in these cases, they were very useful because when you actually Google those malware of the day, usually at the bottom, depending on whatever the malware is, you would have, PCAP because it didn't happen. And in these cases, it's actually 24-hour long capture and all that stuff. So, so it's very, very, very useful. And again, big thank you for all the people that are specifically making those and keeping those public and having them out there. Again, lots of digest here. Probably move fast. It really depends on what you want to do. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's a very good list of things that are free and public, and you can use actually. Because they're, to state the obvious, they're publicly available. We can log in and get them. They're not private and things like that. So that actually helps a lot in training, in QA, in improving detection, in basically the end goal here is like defeating malware, making the blue team great, and continuously improve the defenses. So what I have here as well, again, this is not an exhaustive list, but I put some of the main points in here that I went through, and those are the basically the links and the URL. There's differences, depending when you want actually lateral, non-lateral traffic, whether you want, beaconing or covert channels, whether you want an actually verbose detonated malware and see what it does, whether you want to look at some specific APT tool or tactic that they're using, or if you're looking for scata. So it really depends. But here are a few suggestions. Hopefully they were useful. Hopefully you find them useful. Maybe you knew already some of those, maybe you didn't, but I thought I'll just share the info, or from at least what I know. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but it covers a lot, and it's a good start. And there could be other things in there. Please, if there's something that you found useful, and that is free and public, please make sure you could share that, and we can update the URLs and the links and the slides. Again, there's many more links. If you start Googling and searching, you'll come up with a ton of results. But this subset here that I've come up with is actually out of the field, let's put it that way, and it's kind of more Suricata centric and not useful for Suricata detection or development or similar things. I don't have anything more to add in here. Jules, I'll say a big thank you for listening to me. I'm open to questions now, and of course, the discussion, if there is anything that you would like me to clarify.
There is one question by Lukasz. When you were showing the triage one, you clicked on some malware, and the top line said DGA, and it wants you to show what are the attributes, if you could.
Oh yeah, sure. You want to go back on that? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see the question when you were showing, so I
No
thought
problem. So what was the question here? It was saying
yeah,
DGA.
what are the attributes, the string with different characters?
This is actually the dynamically generated algorithm domains. These are actually dynamically generated domains that malware often, or some malware often uses for either communication or exfil or command and control, whichever. But that's very common in some types of malware to use to register a lot of different domains and to just randomize the domain names. And that's why they're called DGA, dynamically generated algorithm domain names. And it's very obvious here that this is not something you would remember to type in a browser, for example, and things like that. So it's kind of unusual, and it's not easy to remember. So yeah, that in this specific case, that's what it means. And the family is Bumblebee, the malware family. Cool. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, me too. Please, Lucas, let us know if we should dive more into this one. There was another one that Tony added some answer already, but I'll mention it here. Where was it? Eric asks, does Joe Sandbox uses the ET-open rule set? Do you know?
I don't know, to be very honest. They may not be. I have really no idea. I don't know.
Okay, so I will add Tony's answer. He says that as far as he knows, Joe uses ET-open and also any run, and also they have their own homebrew rules. What else?
Most of the sandboxes, just for clarification, most of the sandboxes actually have their own detection. That's not only in terms of, let's say, Suricata. It could be arrow rules. It could be, the endpoint, all those things. So, but yeah, custom rules are very, very common. Sure.
We have, Tony has been adding a few nice extra information.
Perfect, thank you.
That's very cool. So thanks, Tony, for doing that. And we have...
We will actually, sorry to interrupt, but if it's okay, we'll add them to the slide with the URLs, and if that's okay, we'll just add them in there so that they're not, so that they stay
lost, right?
The contribution, much appreciated.
Yeah, I'll capture them. There's a question by Andrew. Do you have any suggestions for using honeypots to collect PCAP data?
Oh yeah. There's also, of course, you can use my honeypots to collect PCAP data. Back in my younger days, not that I'm old now, let me just want to clarify.
Never.
But back in my younger days, I used to run a few honeypots to collect PCAPs and data and things like that. So it's very common. It's very common, and I'm not sure, they might be actually out there. Honeypot captured PCAP data and all that stuff. We just need to kind of search it out. But it's a very common technique. It's quite common to do that as well. absolutely. Especially, spinning up something vulnerable, some CV that just came out, and see, where it gets hits and all that stuff. So see what comes up. But this could also be very, very verbose, because in like anything that's public, that's exposed to the world, there is a massive amount of scanning and all sorts of things going on. So in essence, that will be very, very verbose, and you collect a lot of PCAP data. It's mostly going to be, I suspect, scans and all that stuff. But hey, that's also valuable data, because it shows you what's actually constantly scanning out there, what are the top scanning things, let's say, and things like that. So definitely valuable, yeah.
I remember, speaking of honeypot, I remember a while ago when we added Postgre to Suricata, Victor added a honeypot, and he captured some scans related to Postgre, but he said that in the end, I think he disabled the honeypots, because it was, as you said, very verbose and mostly scans, and it kept repeating itself. So he thought it wasn't very useful. But maybe for a while it is, then you see what's there and then you turn it off, I guess. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony is adding that T-Mobile's Teapot project is a one-stop honeypot for those interested in messing around with honeypots. I think
great point for the teapot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Andrew is saying that he uses Teapot and it has built-in Suricata. Where did we see this? I feel we saw that in
I think there's a good few honeypots that are readily available, like, I don't know, GitHub or in the net in general, that use Suricata.
I hear we need another webinar with honeypots now.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Yes. So do we have somebody volunteering? Let's pick up.
So we have a volunteer.
Okay. But that's in essence could be really, really cool, because that's a very good point.
Do we have more questions? Excuse me. I think
we could also, folks, by the way, if there's more questions, they can also be posted on the forum and or on Discord. Please keep in touch. There's no problem. It doesn't mean that when the webinar is done, the questions are no longer not going to be answered. No, we will answer the questions. So either ping us on Discord on the channel that we have for Suricata, or question on the forum, and we'll make sure we reach back to you. That's zero problem with any clarifications. So no issue if you forget to ask a question. I mean,
I will get back the screen sharing, Peter, if you don't mind, and then I'll share a few links because people are asking. I think it's the perfect time. So if you want to know where to,
good.
Awesome. I see people asking about our Slack or Discord link and where to find us offline. That would be mostly our forum. That is forum.suricata.io. Our Discord, there's this pretty link there that you can use, or you can go to suricata.io and then you will find it there as well. Those I think are the most important ones. You can also follow us on Mastodon or Blue Sky or LinkedIn, and then you can stay up to date. Thanks, Jason. You can stay up to date with webinars or questions, anything. We try to post everything there. Also, when we publish the webinars to our YouTube channel, we make sure to mention that to everyone. So those are the links to stay in touch with us, to ask follow-up questions, all of that. We do have Suricon this year. So if you can, do join us in Suricon Montreal in November 19 to 21. The call for talks is still open. So we would love to hear how you are using Suricata, how you've been trying to break it, to improve it, if you have good PCAP sources and what you've been doing with it, how you use Suricata to catch a fish, to throw back to a lightning talk from last year. And if you want to know more about Suricon pass Suricom, this Suricom, go to suricom.net. As I mentioned, the call for talks is still open. We love to hear what you have been up to with Suricata. So submit your talk. We hope to have as many as we had last year. If we do, and we have to decide which ones are going to talks, which ones need more space, we will do again the round of Suricata webinars that are related to Suricom talks. So please share your ideas. We love to hear from you. I think that's it for today. Thanks, Jason and Lucas, for sharing the links to the forum and Discord. Thanks, folks, for adding up to the presentation through the chat. Thanks, Peter, for coming up with this webinar, and we hope to have volunteers for the honeypot one. I'll stop recording.
Otherwise, we'll be pointing volunteers.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Thank you very much, folks, as well.
I don't know where to stop recording. Stop recording. There it is.
Is there